Hello, Facebook Live and YouTube Live, fans of DX Engineering. It is time for Tuesdays with Tim and Jeff. It's 1:15 Eastern Time here in the USA and also 17:16 Zulu. And this is October 12th, 2021. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing great. And Jeff, I know you get phone calls from our customers. I try to talk to our customers as well, but boy, I hear a lot of hams struggle sometimes with the power supply that is for the radio, whether it's a 7300, a 7200, the 7100, an 89 FT 891, the 991. So Jeff, when it comes to power supplies, do you have a recommended power supply that you like to recommend for guys?
I like the Samlex. I believe it's the 1235, is it? The one that you use over at the house. I like that one. And I tell the customers, like I just had a guy today, he's ordered a 7300, wants to know what he can use for a power supply. And we have suggested parts list, and it has listed power supplies, what we know will work with those particular radios.
Yeah, that's a real important point, that those suggested parts
Mm-hmm.
that because we have from our experience, that's what we suggest go with the radio. Um, and Jeff, I got to tell you, this Samlex line of power supplies and Astron is another good one. The Astron
Yeah.
power supplies are good too. I've got both of them here. Now that Samlex 1235 that is very popular with 100-watt radios. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that's 35 amps intermittent, but 30 amps continuous. Is that right?
I believe that's what it is. I don't have it in front of me, but I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah, and I believe 7300 or the FT 991, even the Kenwood radios that require the power supplies. A typical 100-watt radio is not going to draw more than about 22 amps.
Right.
So even on FT8, which is, as we know, Jeff, that is that's more of a duty cycle than just
Mm-hmm.
SSB.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you've got that 13 or 14 seconds key down and you're running full power output. But what can happen is, if you don't have a good power supply, that can really affect how your radio works. And in some cases, you don't know what's going on. So there's a couple of places where you want to measure the voltage. One is at the power supply, but most importantly is, what is the voltage at the radio? And sometimes,
Right.
and I know, Jeff, you've had customers that have this problem, the fuse holders that are in
Mm-hmm.
line, right? Those fuses, the fuse holder itself can go bad. And what happens when it goes bad is it'll get hot. And so you don't want that. And also, what ends up happening is you get a voltage drop at the radio, especially when you transmit. So when you're drawing all that current under your transmitter, you can take that voltage that started out at 13.8 volts, and it can be down to 11 and a half.
Yep.
And that is a problem for a lot of radios. Once you get underneath 12 volts, they really struggle, and sometimes they're dirty, or your audio is distorted.
Right.
And Jeff, every once in a while we have a problem, especially if you're using like an end-fed antenna.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
use an end-fed, the MPass, right? When you're
It.
out camping.
I use the NPass vertical and the Ecom2 NFED wires. Yes.
Okay. And in some of those cases, there can be RF coming down
Yep.
the coax cable, and sometimes that can interfere with the power supply working properly.
Yep.
Um, I know I had a local ham here, part of our club, who was getting RF in through the power supply line,
Yeah.
and by putting ferrite in series, that fixed it. So
Yeah.
there are resources, and of course, if one of our listeners is having troubles with their power supply, then call in, talk to Jeff or any of the guys on the team, that because that can be a real sticky problem.
Yep. Well, just this year I had a power issue with my power supply when I was out camping. Didn't realize, and it was the fuse holder opened up just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was causing some issues with me.
Yeah, and we saw that here on our repeater too. And a repeater is key down for can be hours at a time. And I can't overemphasize having really good fuse holders and making sure that all the contacts are clean and everything's tight. Because if anything is loose there, you're going to get heat when you're drawing that kind of current. Jeff, we've got some folks on today. Papa Uniform 2, Mike from Brazil is on, and from Kentucky, it's Kilo Bravo 4, Queen Zulu Hotel. And Luis is on, Kilo Papa 4, Lima Radio from Puerto Rico. And Papa Yankee 6, Kilo Alpha Tango, also from Brazil. And Bob is on Alpha Bravo 7 Radio, and he reports great weather in Phoenix, Arizona. And let's see here. We've got Paul is on, and Paul says, the only thing I don't like about the 1235, that's the Samlex, is the fan is a bit noisy and seems to run for a very long time when it does come on, even if not transmitting. Yeah, I guess I've never, I've always had that power supply like on the floor or away from the radio. So have you ever heard of any trouble with the noisy fan on the 1235, Jeff?
I have not. We have one of those in our showroom, and I don't remember ever really hearing that fan start running.
Yeah, it's a small little guy on the back, and of course it's important because you have to, get air through there. But I'll have to listen to my 1235 here the next time I have it on and see what's going on. Don is on with us, Kilo Delta 8 Papa Alpha X-Ray, and he said ordered a couple of items and I had them in 2 days. Thank you, Don from Michigan. And Jeff, that reminds me of a story about hams in Michigan. Happened a couple of years ago at Hamvention, where we had a guy on Friday. I know I've told you this story before.
Yep.
Friday of Hamvention came up and bought a radio from us, and we didn't have it there at Hamvention. So he said, "Oh, no problem, just ship it to me, and then it'll be, I'll get it when I get home in Michigan." And then, of course, Saturday morning he came back to the DX Engineering booth, and he was all upset. He says, "You guys," he says, "this is just terrible." I said, "Well, what's wrong? What's wrong with the order?" He says, "That radio that I ordered yesterday on Friday showed up this morning at my house in Michigan, and I didn't tell my wife it was coming."
Yeah, I've heard that one. I think I was there when he came back.
That's how fast stuff gets shipped out.
Absolutely.
And, yep. Jeff, I know you field a lot of calls from guys, about delays, whether it's FedEx or UPS. And, we are very concerned about the Postal Service because they notified everybody that even their stuff is going to get slower yet.
Yep.
So we are steering clear of the post office, except in rare instances. But
yeah, I'm sending out Christmas cards this week so people can get them by January.
That's a good idea. And I think there are still DX Engineering Christmas cards.
There are.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Melanie. She's make sure we have enough. And Dino says he's recovering from hip replacement surgery yesterday. And so, Dino, we wish you the best. Yeah. And, get well soon. And George is on, Oscar Zulu 4, Papa Alpha Tango. And he's enjoying watching from Copenhagen in Denmark. And Larry, as good afternoon, Tim and Jeff, is the K3LR multi back this year? Yes, Larry, we are on schedule, and as long as the airline pilots are belted in, we'll be good to go, because a lot of our operators fly in. So we have our fingers crossed, and always 73 to you, K4 Alpha Bravo. And Rob is on from, let's see here. He says, greetings from the M40 motorway. Heading home, all my fuses upgraded to the large blade style, all cables 4 gauge with ferrites at every connection. And my power supply does 70 miles an hour. Of course, that's Rob over in England, Mike 0 Kilo Papa Delta / Mobile. And we have had him on the show. And if you look inside that van there, Jeff, it looks like a spaceship with the way he's got it all professionally.
I heard, yep.
But one of these times when you're on 40 meters, look for Rob. He has the most outstanding mobile signal I've ever heard. He is he's just as good as the guys at home, and I think he's running maybe a little bit of power. I think maybe 300 or 400 watts in the mobile, but I'm sure he'll let us know. And Tom says, always great subjects, guys, and thanks very much, Tom. And here's the tall guy, K3STL. It says, hi, Tim and Jeff. I purchased my power supplies from DX Engineering and never had any issues. Always good to have you on, John. And,
Tim, I tried making one of those dipole dogs the other day, and it turned into an off-center fed. I don't know what I did wrong, but I tried.
Well, it's maybe a little bit better match to 50 ohms with the off-center fed dog. I know that Skyview was very active in the Pennsylvania QSO party last weekend. And coming up this weekend, it's the New York QSO party. And we've got Dan on, 2 Echo 0 Bravo Lima November from England. And Tom, Whiskey Bravo 9 Delta Zulu Sierra. And Ken says, linear versus switching efficiency. Personally, what do you run? I have both here. I'm sort of an old school kind of guy. I like the linear power supplies. They're heavier, but I'll tell you, when you're traveling, you can't beat the switching power supplies. And the Samlex one is RFI quiet. I know that. And I've got an Astron SS30 over here that is quiet too. So they've come a long way. But there's a lot of really good power supplies out there. But you want to make sure that 13.8 volts stays stiff when you transmit. It's very, very important. Mike is on, Kilo Delta 2 Sierra X-Ray Delta. Hello from Jacksonville, Florida. Made contact with K3LR in the PA QSO party this weekend. Great operator, Amy. We had several club members over. Dr. Alex was here, and he was running Europeans on 15 meters. We also have Bob the Traveler, and he says, I use a big battery for my 2-meter base station power supply. When the battery voltage drops below 12.5 at my Alinco, the DR135 goes cuckoo. All right, well, that's very important. You want to make sure that it doesn't drop below the 12.5. And let's see. We've got another question here from Whiskey 8 Tango Juliet Mike. Have you seen turn-on transients on some switching supplies above 20 volts? Worth checking with an oscilloscope. And power supplies is a worthy topic. I have personally not seen that spike when you turn it on, but I guess the safe way would be turn on the power supply and then turn on the radio. What do you think, Jeff?
Yep, that's how I would do it.
And so we've got K8 Fox on. Wayne, he just finished his new DX Engineering Ballon install today, and he says it works great. So that is super, Wayne. Perry is on. He says may have to fly a private jet. Well, maybe. And Tim, November Lima 7 Delta, is on from Tucson. And Richard, Whiskey Bravo 7 Mike Lima. I'm saving for a Kenwood TS590SG, of course, to purchase from DX Engineering. You know, that radio, what is it, about $1,500, Jeff?
It's
Is that
about
right?
that. Yeah, it's a nice radio, nice price.
Very, very, I mean, a great radio at a great price. And it's got a lot of features in it that you find on more expensive radios.
Yep.
It's in that 590. And I have a lot of friends that have the 590, and it just really works well. From Algeria, it's 7 X-Ray 2 Radio Fox. And from England, Germany 0 Delta Tango X-Ray. And let's see, Rob says, let's see, he says, despite popular belief, it's 400 watts, not Lloyd's special amp. That's in Cal's Mobile. I think they've got one of the solid state Ameritrons in Cal's Mobile down in Georgia. And let's see, Richard says, which power supply do you recommend for that radio, the 590 SG? Well, I'd go back to what Jeff recommended, the Samlex 1235.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You can get it in 2 flavors, right? You can get it with meters or without meters. But the Samlex would be our recommendation, or the Astron. But I think having a 30 amp continuous power supply with a 100-watt radio that is typically drawing 22 amps, 21 amps is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be getting the Astron here at the house pretty soon for mine.
There you go. And Rob says, over here, I use the Maus 60 amp power supply unit, very stable, no flickering. And Doug is on, November 7 Bravo Victor Tango. And Henrik is on, Oscar Zulu 1 Delta Whiskey X-Ray from Denmark. And hello to all from Paul. Kilo Quebec 4 Charlie Delta. And Scott says, is it better to leave the power supplies on all the time or switch on and off after use? If you're turning the radio off, you're not drawing any current, so you're not using any electricity. I would say if there's a storm coming, I would definitely turn off the power supply, but I don't really think you need to turn it on and off all the time. I just leave them on. I use the front panel switch. In fact, some radios like the IC 7851, and it has the 7851 has a power switch in the rear of the radio, and you want to leave that on because it has a crystal oscillator inside, and the radio, if you use that as the way to turn it on and off, the radio will drift for the first couple of minutes until it gets warm. And Leg is on, Kilo Radio 6 X-Ray. Lee, nice to see you. And Rick is on, Whiskey X-Ray 8 Tango. And Tom, Kilo Sierra 3 November. Ran the Samlex from the entire PA QSO party, over 600 contacts without issue. And I believe they were up in Mercer County. That was out at the Grove City outlets. Have you been over there, Jeff?
No,
it's kind of on your way to your boat storage place.
Yeah, I'll be driving that way on Monday.
Yeah, it just right down I-79. Tom says, I've had my Astron 35M powered on since the mid-1980s, except for AC power outages. And Tom is WB9 Delta Zulu Sierra. So, yeah, once it's on, it's on. So that is great stuff. Well, listen, Jeff, all we're doing is keeping you from your lunch.
It's lunchtime. Yep.
It is lunchtime. So thanks for being on the show today. And Alex says, congratulations to the Skyview guys. Great job. So with that, doesn't get any better. This is the best hobby in the world. And if we can help you have more fun with this great hobby, give us a holler here at DX Engineering. You can talk to Jeff or one of the other guys on the team, and we'll get you fixed up. Until Thursday, when I'll be back for the Manufacturer Showcase 73 from DX Engineering.